Today we are going to talk about the May 15th, 2025 Mega Strikers patch. Yeah? This patch in particular has been very terrible to play on. So before this patch happens, we already had a few issues that has been going on for a while. Kazan is still unbalanced. For some reason he got buffed. Um, in certain characters felt bad to play against, like Rune, when nothing got touched about it. So we're gonna go down character by character to see how they stand in terms of how much power they have compared to our other characters in this game. So Asher's the first one. Asher's one of the melee characters. So and melee characters are very strong, yeah, in close combat, but they can't really move a lot most of the time, yeah. Most characters will not be able to move a lot. Maybe one dash and that's it. So you don't really get KO'd by this character unless you move really close to KO holds. Maybe because they baited you, but that's like a skill expression, yeah. But so one thing I keep seeing is that Asher's primary in defense is very strong, yeah, which is true, but in reality she's very easy beaten by people like Wise, Finny, and who was Wise, Finny, Amy. Yeah, I guess Amy, because all these ultimate make long sustained damage and stun, like mini stuns. Yeah, when you get hit, you get a little bit stunned, which makes Asher feel very hard to play. So if you see a tournament scene like the actress in itself, she's hard to play against. Yeah, how badly are you skilled? Obviously, Asher has a counter. Yeah, I don't really like Asher's character design myself. The infinite shield on the primary would probably be more okay if she didn't have a creation tag on it, which can make it longer. The part that's unfair, yeah. Probably skipped over a few things. Yeah, one good thing about this patch is that the knockback reduction is gone, so I can finally style on people with Juliet goalie Paladins, yeah. The Paladins goalie gear, which makes give power, yeah. I can finally style on these people again because I don't have to ban Asher, but I can ban Kazan now because Asher has no knockback reduction anymore, which is a good thing. By the way, this is I don't understand why she ever had this, because if she really wanted to defend herself, she still has a primary. Yeah. Okay, so a lot of characters have above 100 power, and I just want to state at the beginning that any character that has more than 100 power does more core knockback, which can affect how fights will go out, because the core will be gone faster in a direction, which means that maybe if even the gap isn't that much open, if the gap isn't that much open, it can still go through if you have enough power to do so, so that they don't have the time to move. So Asher was, because of the primary part, a hard counter against Centaur. Centaur is very hard to defend against because he has so many resources, and all of his abilities are very effective in just pushing through anything, especially the dash. And even if you evade it can very quickly go bad. Like you wasted your evade because the core will still move. Maybe someone else gets hits instead of you. Or he just starts using his ultimate. So like there's like certain interactions where even if he's supposed to lose, he's still gonna win because then he's gonna pull the ultimate. Yeah. You usually could like dash primary at the Centaur, but at some point people get used to it, so you could probably get scored on. Yeah, skill expression part. Um, yeah, it's just noted this Centaur. Yeah, Asher goalie defeated easy by Vice because she for some reason on her primary has a AOE slow. she could also stun from afar and teleport and even ult, yeah. Finny also has the secondary as a slow, but also the ultimate, and how it sticks to the barriers, yeah, the core, which like makes like Asher technically can counter the ult for one, but if it has monumentalist, then it's kind of like Finny counters Asher than the primary. And yeah, obviously the Amy ult, yeah. And most things Asher picks, yeah, okay, she can pick Timeless Creator, so Amy's less of a counter, like, because Asher can counter pick, but that doesn't go really for Wise. Wise can all do these things without needing any kind of awakening to make the ult better, like Amy needs. The main problem right now is that Asher's primary cooldown is way too high, yeah. So she's definitely not a choice to pick as a goalie because the primary is way too high. Any forward you will face will have the primary up before you have. Like even if you like remotely win a situation you're not supposed to because you're better than them for like one or two more seconds, now the primary cooldown is still gonna be not up, like barely, yeah, and then they score on you maybe. For example, against Kazans, yeah, like Kazans can just throw so many abilities at you. They can miss half their kit, or you can like defend against the impossible or strike zone from Kazan. And all his big abilities, they are way too big. Yeah, he has so many resources. Anyways, like because Kazan has so many abilities, Asher's primary, especially with the cooldown, is just becoming useless against Kazan. Yeah, it was already before the nerf. It was already useless against Kazan because he has more than 4 abilities. So even if you can like counter 2 of them with the primary, he can still readjust. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much about Azure. So my suggestion against changes of Azure is to revert the primary cooldown nerf, especially because all these cooldown awakenings are gone. Rapid Fire is gone. The Spark CDR is removed, but drastically nerfed. So revert it completely. There's no point. Why is it 10 seconds now, not when Rapid Fire was in? Put yourself slow to 40%. It was before the nerf. It was 30%. Yeah, just put it 10%. Reason is, and it's probably written somewhere before this part. She starts with less speed. Yeah, so if you get into position for your primary, yeah, with this bad speed thing already, maybe you shouldn't nerf it too hard. Like this is a skill expression part. Yeah, maybe don't nerf the primary too hard. It's the forward thing is still a skill expression. So now we come. Yeah. So this was Azure. Now we're getting to Atlas. Yeah. I used to main Atlas a lot, and then I switched to Dubu at some point and Juno. Yeah, Juno. I mainly switched to Juno, but Dubu was doing things better than Atlas ever could because of the ultimate. At some point, Atlas' position in the meta became very awkward because now released, which could heal much more and much more effective, like burst healing, very fast healing instantly. Yeah, Atlas, however, his ultimate got nerfed so hard that nowadays it's just an energy farm too. I'm gonna put it on some forward that only has like 70% a stagger, so I can get a little bit of energy. Yeah? You need to position yourself towards the midfield so the ultimate can be used. Yeah. Meanwhile, now she can do it from afar. Yeah, I'm coming to now later. Okay, so he also has reduced movement speed, which makes it very awkward to reach barriers in like night market. And the issue of these Dubu and Atlas goalies also, yeah, is that for some reason in NA people pick momentum boots, yeah, which only noobs do most of the time, because if you're decent and at strike rolling and positioning, you know how to make use of your extra size. Yeah, Atlas and Dubu starts with extra size, so you know how you are more likely to win despite even this speed thing. Yeah, I really wish it was at like 4-4-5. Like it doesn't need to be average, yeah, but don't make it too low. It makes no sense. It just punishes picking these characters on maps that have far wide barriers, like Night Market. Yeah, his secondary is good in like midfield, but every 20 seconds, this ability, like this is why this character deserves 15 speed. I don't get it. Instead, and I didn't even write this down, his KO knockback, his primary and secondary needs to be nerfed. It for some reason it has almost the same strength as Julie Dash Punch, his secondary and primary combo. So people started to play him as a forward because they then didn't need to worry about getting KO'd. Like people pick this character which are like bad in positioning but can still pull off combos. Yeah, his ultimate is very useful as a forward because it just makes him able to pass certain spots he's not supposed to. But as a goalie, totally useless. So revert the primary lifetime nerf. It makes no sense. For an Atlas forward, the primary is either going to hit or not. Oh yeah, one thing I forgot, but I wrote it down somewhere here, is that the primary lifetime before it was nerfed could actually be used against an Atlas because it stayed too long, and then the enemy forward uses it as a self-passing wall. Yeah, this lifetime nerf could necessarily even mean a buff for Atlas. That's what these people don't get. And I already talk in this negative tone because I think the people that make these changes are dog shit at this game. Like they don't fully understand all aspects of every character, how it works, because they didn't master all the game mechanics. I will tell you one game mechanic very quickly. Yeah, there's certain ways to get the core to stay red. It's not just the core going from one corner to the other one. You can use certain angles to make it go red. Yeah, and the people that make these sort of balancing changes don't really know about it. Yeah, I'm just giving this example because there's many certain micro scales they probably don't really know or aren't not good enough to utilize. Yeah, so if you don't know about certain aspects, you don't fully understand the place a character has. For example, this red core thing, yeah, in overtime with Juno, if you know how to make the red core continue to stay, can be very nice. It's very deep Juno goalie skill expression, but I'm the only one using it because I know how the red core angles work very deeply. And yeah, in EU we don't even have Juno goalies because this character actually takes skill, which a lot of people don't realize. Juno takes a lot of it, but we get to Juno later. So yeah, this is Atlas. His ultimate should scale with power, so he can counterpick power awakenings from Brawlers. Yeah, so he still also gets a bit of utility. I know some people suggested his Monumentalist, like these Croatian character awakenings, give him more power on his ultimate for some reason. I don't understand it completely. I didn't test it out. That's what I'm saying. But power should also scale this, and technically also nows too. Yeah, but I don't like. Here's the issue. I don't think that they've put in this kind of thing for these kind of abilities. Or maybe like now that I think about it, maybe it already works like this. I need to test this later. But if it does, it should definitely. So Drika, yeah, Drika, we're getting to that's Atlas places, yeah. We're getting to Drika. Drika is in an awkward spot, yeah. His secondary is kind of useless as a speed tool because there's so many secondaries that are faster than him, or secondaries that are lasting about as much as his does, but they have a better secondary effect. For example, Rasmus, yeah, which is like hitbox and damage. Yeah, his one is speed, invisibility, and doing extra knockback damage. So he has two charges of projectiles. Yeah, his base range is too short to do any real damage. You need to put yourself constantly out of position with your secondary, which sometimes barely works, yeah, because of the invisibility, but barely. Like, it's very hard to actually KO someone with that. People, okay, so in NA, people have higher ping, so it's less likely they will notice someone just went invisible, because the information is being sent later. So in on their screen, not only is Trigger later invisible, yeah, he also becomes visible later because of the ping, yeah. So which can, I guess, make it more easier that he can KO people, because they're much less likely to see that someone is not on the battlefield, yeah. So my suggestion for this character is that the secondary should be put at 1 second. He should lose the secondary effect, the damage part, yeah, that improves his ult and primary when he uses it. In return, Drika gets 2 charges of secondary. So the problem is that a lot of characters are just much better than his dash. Like, he has, they just have a better dash tool. And then another problem is that these characters not only have one better dash, they have two, at least two of them. And they can even pinpoint them in a very fast manner. So giving him 2 charges of 1 second invisibility gives him a much more better way to be flexible, and keeps his note as a character that he is something else to, like, his invisibility is getting more unique again, instead of being a one and done deal. So people need to pay a little bit more attention against Drekar, and that he has certain pressure points, yeah, that he can pressure you if you don't really pay attention to him, yeah. One thing I thought about, which would be really nice to see, is that his ultimate should drastically be reduced in terms of slowness to only like 10%, which will still be enough. But on top of it, it gets a new effect. That it drains the energy by 25, so it burns one evasion. Yeah, so he can be combined with other damage characters, or can be useful as a sort of utility support champion. Yeah. Because his ultimate slow right now is technically much more less useful than Vice Primes, Octavia Primes, and Finney's ultimate, and even regular abilities usually have more useful pinpoint slowness, yeah, because at some point this ultimate slows down so much that people go into a defensive formation, which in like ironically then usually makes Drekar's team harder to actually score on them. Yeah. So his ultimate should see a rework which is not based on cooldown or extra knockback. Right now it's just used for red core knockback usually. Yeah. So that's Drekar's spot. He's in a very rough one. Era's spot, yeah. So far in the past patches, Era's problem has been that now it's just a better Era than she can ever be. Yeah, the secondary of now lasts for 15 seconds, which is crazy. Without any, like, she doesn't need cast to last, timeless creator. The secondary, yeah. So even if it is misplaced, yeah, it can be reused later, yeah. So if Era uses the secondary, she uses one and then it's done, yeah. If she misplaces it, it's likely maybe the teammates stand slightly out of it, it's gone, yeah. But now it can still be reused later when, like, the people move back and forth, yeah. It stays 15 seconds, and it's gonna stay even longer with timeless and cast to last. Era's secondary also gradually decreases in like the efficiency of the speed, yeah. So even now's nerfed secondary speed could be very close, or is even more useful than Era's, yeah. Especially because it's not only speed now has, she also heals, yeah. And it's a hitbox, and Era's is not a hitbox. And then the cooldown of Era's even higher than now's, despite now secondary being more useful, yeah. So my suggestion is Revert to primary buff, yeah, instantly. You should have done this instantly. This completely removes the skill expression of era players. It's just instantly. You rework Kazan because he had a similar state with his primary hook, but now you give him this thing. Whoever made the balancing changes, and I know it's like community members, are fucking idiots. Yeah, um, I'm getting to this part later, but someone that like me that played this game a lot also read every damn patch note, yeah. And the ex devs that actually developed this game, not the community manager, put down why they changed certain things, yeah. So if you do all these changes, yeah, um, you should also if you change a certain aspect like hotshot, yeah, should look at past balancing notes and see why was hotshot nerfed. I'm getting to this part later, yeah. But I'm just giving this example here, yeah. The primary itself, like the slowness and the how much it strings was nerfed because it was too strong to just disable one enemy. But that's the issue, yeah. Her whole kit doesn't really work. Either the primary is going to be strong or not strong enough, especially because the secondary is a one and done deal, yeah. But yeah, that's just a problem of supporters. But now doesn't really have this problem. We get to know after this, yeah. So one thing I was thinking about is making the secondary slower, but the size of the secondary can be increased by dash awakening. So picking dash awakenings become more efficient, yeah, like a counter pick tool even against characters like now. Um, One thing I was also thinking about was a major rework for the tornadoes because nowadays it has become very easy to dodge these. Yeah, um, give the tornado 2 charges, but get the cooldown from 20 to 35 seconds. Yeah, this gives her a special speciality in terms of what characters exist. Nobody else has a second ultimate. Kazan has free prime time and free twin drive because he has modern 4 abilities, but nobody has an extra charge on the ultimate. And I feel like Era's ultimate is useless enough that 2 charges could be something you could think about. And that gives her a special note, yeah. Um, yeah. I was even using here, putting down a side note here when I was making this late night. Mako is just more useful than Era, yeah. Like the secondary can be used everywhere. The ultimate of Mako can also in trap enemies, yeah. Much more easier than like it can be much more easier to be more efficient than Era's is. Era needs to do many advanced setups for the tornadoes and do a lot of mind games, yeah. They need to make you think that sometimes that the tornado is gonna be somewhere where it isn't, and then the enemy walks to the wrong side and then they get killed, yeah. Characters like Mako doesn't need this. They just need to basically spam their abilities. Same goes for now. Era could have so much skill expression, but the fact that Mako and now just are that much better, Era is being left in a very awkward spot. Yeah. So we're getting to now. Now is one of the most or was one of the most unbalanced characters out there besides Runes and Dao and Kazan. The now secondary resource is way too much. Yeah. Why does it start with a 15-second duration time? Why is this speed on the so high and consistent? Like 1.5, it used to be 50% haste, now it's 30%. It now also not now, but it used to I was yeah. It heals 20%. That's what I meant. Yeah, it heals 20%. And then a huge hitbox too. After she got nerfed, yeah, the secondary used to be 9 seconds for some reason. Even then 10.5 seconds is still too low for this kind of ability, yeah. It's way too effective. Her primary by default can reach high damage, high player knockback, and high core knockback if it's down to like the very last second of it, without needing any kind of awakenings for it to make it ready. Yeah, so she has certain strengths already. So why is her secondary this strong? Yeah, and we didn't even get to the part to her ultimate. So with the ultimate, she not only can teleport, she can teleport to heal someone. So like teleport by itself is like a repositioning tool. She can teleport to someone, yeah, at a certain range, and a dash awakening will make it even bigger, the range, and she can use it even as a temporary tool to evade damage instantly. As soon as she presses the ultimate, she becomes in an evading state, which probably isn't a bad thing. She also gets a free eject button. This all combined is a bad thing. Like why is the eject button so long for this ultimate? Like it would be nice. Like here's what I'm not getting. This is why, as I said, Atlas is so useless. Yeah, Atlas needs to reposition himself, and then the ultimate is even much more useless than now is, and offers less utility. And if Atlas puts it in certain spots, as soon as the teammate respawns on the ultimate, often he can the teammate can be knocked back into being KO'd because yeah, it has such a low range, Atlas. So in like comparison, why is now's ultimate so useful? So I've found up a few suggestions. Yeah, remove the eject button on your ultimate. So this makes it that either she needs to move closer to your teammates and then risk a temporary repositioning. So like to heal them. Yeah, but if this eject button is gone, this ultimate reposition risk should be more rewarding, yeah, which is why it should be put to 50% missing stagger, which means or close to 50%. It means that not instantly they are out of the stagger positioning, but it wouldn't even like even if it is just total stagger, not just missing, it wouldn't be too much of a problem if the eject button part is gone, because she will need to risk getting the teammates out of the stagger state, yeah, if the eject button is gone. Like this could be good and bad, yeah. At the same time, reduce the mine healing to only 5%. It should offer some kind of healing, but the utility part, like the knockback and the speed part, is already way too much. I don't get why the mine even has healing to begin with, but it shouldn't be completely removed, I guess. Right now, it hits more than the ultimate, yeah. So you put up these mines 10.5 3 times, yeah, 3 times, and it hit by then it probably hit like 60%. I know, is it at 20? If I remember right, it's 20, yeah. By the time the ultimate is still not up and it already healed 60%, yeah. So suggestion B, yeah, instead of A, another suggestion is remove the hitbox on the secondary to be used as knockback, as damage, and make it only a hitbox for teammates. So she becomes less of a damage dealer, but more of a supporter, yeah. She still has a primary to KO people technically, or to deal big damage or big knockback. Wait once. Wait, one more thing. Yeah, her primary needs to be buffed if this hitbox is gone on secondary. A little bit buff. Finny, yeah, that was now. That was now, and now we at Finny. Getting to Finny. The wait, the nerf. Yeah. She got the nerf. Yeah, the secondary got put to 10, from 10 to 11. And if any nerfs happen, yeah, to your it needs to be to your ultimate, yeah, not a cooldown thing, maybe the size or how long it stays, or a mix of both, yeah. Finny is probably in a good spot. Her ultimate is the most unfair thing about her. But yeah, that's pretty much Finny. Yeah. Octavia, the, the, the primary cooldown is completely unnecessary. Yeah, I've written down a few reasons here. You can read by yourself. But the point is, the primary is the most good thing about Octavia. Like it's the only skill expression. The ultimate is like 5 times knocking you back without them really needing to aim for it. And yeah, Kuro Boost Castle Last needs to be always in return, just remove this User's Awakening, Reptile Remedy. The secondary issue is that she starts with a lot of speed and has infinite resources. In my mind, like I'm thinking, this character shouldn't have infinite resources. It has no place in a competitive game like this. So to negate the secondary issue, I've thought about a few things. Yeah. First of all, revert the primary cooldown. It's a skill expression. Yeah. The secondary, if you want to stay infinite, it needs to be more fair. And I think it would be fair if it starts with a slight speed and it gradually increases. So there's a skill expression part to it. You need to actually put in the work to become very fast. And if the enemy is too, like, I don't know, dog shit to kill you in that time, you deserve the speed. Yeah. Here's one major problem right now. Anytime she gets into like potentially dangerous situations, she can just return the area she got from, yeah, which usually is like half of the field. She can just, because of the speed, return with the core to your own barrier, and then farm a little bit of speed and stagger, and here's stagger. So one way to negate that is to increase the knockback and damage every second. She gets one minus damage and knockback reduction. Yeah, it should be possible because we have the air sharp mechanism, and you just need to put in a negative value. And even if there's like a coding problem, maybe because then they share the same resources, it would be a problem because Asher's secondary runs out pretty quickly. Yeah, it's not big of much a problem, but I don't think this should bring a coding issue. So she builds up a damage and knockback reduction, a -1, not a +1. So she gets more damage and knockback. Meaning if her secondary is very high, she should be able to avoid being damaged. And if she's too dog shit, she's getting swatted like a fly. Like this should be a skill expression. Right now, you're just gonna evade most of the things with with enough speed. And if that all of this happens, her stagger needs to be put at 1400, so that only she's in really big danger if her secondary is that much high in speed. Yeah. So yeah. We're getting to Juliet. I think the cooldown buff of the ultimate was unnecessary. With speed, this ultimate did so much impact. If anything, the bad thing part is that it's very easy to evade at certain times. Which is why the startup damage before she deals the final hit should be a little bit higher, so she can at least deal some damage. I don't know if it should just be a damage buff with the small kicks and you don't decrease the damage on the final part. I don't know. Someone else needs to think about it. This is just a slight suggestion. Yeah. Kazan is one of the most unbalanced characters out there you could ever create. So no matter how you want to balance him, it will be very hard to keep him in a playable state for players to play. The fact that he essentially starts with twin drive dashes and primetime primaries and 2 times bigger strike zone gives him way too much resources, yeah, over the enemy, and it makes it very unfair to face as a goalie. He can miss half of his abilities, which are like even big size, so it's very hard to miss them, and he will still score on you. The bigger effective strike range, yeah, he can walk back a little bit further, which gives him a higher angle against the goalie, and he can't do anything about it. Especially like even if you counter that part, after that, Kazan has at least 2 interactions where he can get the core for free. So if he loses the second one, hooks the core, yeah, that's the second interaction, and he gets a strike reset. Even if he loses that, somehow he can still dash at the core once again and strike the core once again, or even like use his yellow primary. He has so many advantages. Yeah, it's this character should not even be in the game, in my honest opinion. Remove this character from the game. Yeah. Alternative suggestions, because the devs are not gonna do that because they want money. The primary secondary needs to be at 14 to 16 seconds instead of 11 to 12, because not only is the cooldown already crazy, a little cooldown, because for abilities, yeah, so they you kind of tick down together, yeah. You can use them, you can use them at the same time too, like the fact that you can even use the abilities, like they have different purposes, they can fulfill different purposes, and you can use them instantly. You have essentially 4 charges of abilities, and every charge can do something else. This is so fucking crazy. And then it's even like AoE things, KO power, core control. They can do things much better than characters that are supposed to specialize in the purpose. Like his yellow primary has essentially more effectiveness than a dash punch of Juliet. He can do it from a much further place. If you need to evade it too, yeah. Juliet needs to do a pinpoint aim at you to KO you, especially even if she has like 1 damage awakening. Kazan without any damage awakening can already do most of these things, yeah. So one of the problems is that deny him size, he's gonna pick speed, and because he starts with primetime, twin drive, and size, it's not a bad thing. Like he doesn't really need the size technically, or he doesn't need the speed, or he doesn't need twin drive, primetime, or even damage. If you deny anything from him, he's gonna get the other thing. Yeah, and size most of the time is gonna be useless, but size is one of Kazan's strongest picks because he already starts with everything else. Starts is like size is then a nice bonus to it. So we need to come to an honest understanding that this character offers the most dog shit players so many bones to win against much better ones. It is a very frustrating experience. We need to this. You need to be honest about this. This is how Kazan currently has his place in the game. Good players don't really enjoy playing him because they don't feel that they are dominating the enemies. They're just getting handed free tickets to win. Yeah. And dog shit players are gonna play this because they need it. This can cause issues like people getting from low diamond to like mid challenger, and then whenever Kazan is banned, they are 4 levels behind in the game. Like they're pissed useless. If you're 4 levels behind, it means you didn't do anything. You can't do anything. The enemy is better than you. Yeah, I've personally witnessed this. Kazan gets banned. They pick now, and they're 4 levels behind. So yeah, if the devs don't step in about this character, any serious tournament needs to ban Kazan as a character, yeah, to the major unbalancing this character has. He has 2 times dashes, he has 2 times area attacks, based dash attacks, yeah. 4 abilities with essentially low cooldowns through the cooldown rotation, how you rotate your abilities, and the power of having 4 abilities available almost instantly with various amounts of different purposes these abilities fulfill, yeah. And then if you get twin drive and or prime time on this character, you like this is double the usefulness. Yeah, you essentially if you get twin drive in prime time, you get 2 times twin drive in prime time. It's so crazy. One major rework offering is that the abilities, like a major rework, yeah, the abilities share a cooldown, so you need to either use your red kit for core control or your yellow kit for KOing. So if you decide to use either one, the core control is gonna go on cooldown too. So if you want to use the cooldown later, you need to get the cooldown again for these awakenings. Like you need to decide what you want to use. Yeah. But then the cooldowns need to be lowered. Yeah. Then 12 seconds are too much probably. This gives Kazan players a little bit of skill expression, like actual skill expression. They need to actively decide what's good for the situation. If the enemy burns 25 energy for his yellow primary, they now need to get rewarded by it, by not having to fight against all the other abilities. It's so fucking crazy. Kazan should have never been released in this state. Yeah? Okay. So talking about Kazan, which needs to be out of the game, yeah? We're gonna get to Weiss and Luna, yeah? So the biggest issue is, and I've written down other specialties so you can read through it, is that essentially Weiss is just a better Luna. The secondary offers a stun, a pinpoint teleportation, knockback, damage, all these things. Weiss, and a lower cooldown than Luna. Luna has 15 seconds. Weiss can do all these things and has a much lower cooldown. While Luna can basically just knock back, damage, and if she hits you, stuns you by the damage of it. Yeah, she puts herself at a much bigger risk, mispositioning risk, but also KO risk. While she can just decide if she wants to teleport, and other parts, even if she doesn't teleport, can still be used, like the stun, the knockback, yeah, the damage. I don't understand why secondary is lower than Luna's, and Luna's is much more higher even than Weiss, even though Luna's is useless, yeah. Weiss also has other, I've written this all down, yeah. So if I forget down something, it's probably written down here. Weiss Prime is also much more useful, yeah. Bigger hitbox, AoE slow, damage, yeah. Impact tags, yeah, and then even get to this part. All abilities of Weiss have impact tags, so Luna is always gonna be behind in damage. And for some reason in this patch, Luna's knockback and damage got nerfed, even though, like, it would make sense if they add impact tags to secondary and primary of Luna, but they didn't. So why this nerf? Like, Luna has so much more skill expression than Weiss does. Weiss is such a free character to win with. I've seen so many players get to a certain skill level when they didn't become better just because they play Weiss and then push the ultimate or whatever. Also the damage reduction part on the Weiss ultimate is confusing because isn't it supposed to be a sort of counter that you can put her out of position with abilities? You need to use abilities to get her out of position. So why is this not even possible? Why is she getting a damage reduction? Makes no sense, because she can just teleport away if she needs any kind of damage evasion. So why does she have this for free there? Makes no sense, especially because I've written this down. The ultimate is much more better than Luna's. Like, one thing is that Weiss can control when she releases it, yeah, so she can release it almost instantly and still deal high knockback, or she can release it late. And so because of this, even if you like burn energy, the core can still get past you, or maybe because you shot the core now because you needed to evade, like, you evade, yeah, and now you still need to hit the core, yeah, and then even though you just burn 25 energy, you can still get KO'd because of it. Like, so why does she get this damage reduction? She gets so many benefits from her ultimate. Yeah, so this knockback nerf and damage makes no sense. The only thing I can think about is in NA, why this happened in the first place, is that in NA, because of the ping, it's much more harder to react to these abilities. But you should nerf characters because your region has dog shit ping, yeah, sorry, but that's just true, yeah. Luna's abilities needs to be planned ahead, yeah. They needs to be planned ahead much further than a Juliet, for example. It's easier to counter, yeah. It's much easier to counter Luna's abilities, yeah. One evade and most of her things is gonna be useless. Why secondary? Yeah, it can be used as a tool to already burn one evasion, yeah. 25 energy is being used just for a Weiss secondary. Like, the Weiss kit has so much power in it. It's so crazy. Why is Luna getting nerfed? Why is Weiss getting buffed? She, if anything, Why should get a nerf? Yeah, but Luna getting nerfed fucking crazy. So we're getting to Weiss, and we talked about Weiss and Luna. Yeah? Now we're getting to Kai and Rasmus. Yeah, the secondaries, like in last patch, the secondaries are way too fucking long. You remove the skill expression part of Kai completely. Kai wins so many free interactions just because of the 6 projectiles. It's very hard to actually counter, even if you know you need to work against it. Most of the times, because it is 6 secondaries, it's long. So either you're gonna revert Kai secondary buffs and put it at like 3 seconds, yeah, or 3.25, so it doesn't make it awkward for each button. If that doesn't happen, you need to reduce the projectiles of Kai from 6 to 5 or 6 to 4. Rasmus secondary, the duration has become so long that the secondary effect, that the hitbox, the damage part, is too hard to counter as an enemy, especially as a goalie. Because he has speed, unlike Asher. Asher needs to be she needs to position herself for the primary, which is hard to counter. It's a skill expression technically. Rasmus gets speed, so he races at you. It's very hard to even like get the core. Like you shoot it behind you into a corner, and while you shoot it, he already uses the secondary, and then it scores on you. Like, this duration is way too high. If the duration stays, his speed needs to be reduced. So there's some kind of like this counterplay still exists. Right now it's very hard to counterplay Rasmus. Yeah, you ban Kazan because of idle size, and now you're getting Rasmus. It's such a bullshit thing. So all of these were characters. Yeah. So now we're getting to the last lessons, which will be the first here we're talking about is pauldrons. Yeah. Right now, a lot of bad people use pauldrons to win strike wars for free on the goalie, like Rasmus players, Kazan players, which shouldn't happen. Yeah, you should only win goalie interactions if you put yourself in a position to win strike wars, or the main gameplay of goalie is actually to get the core past the enemy, that they don't even get into a strike wars. Yeah, so pauldrons removes this skill expression from goalie a lot. So, I've played on a forward practicing account, and I noticed so hard how I'm not learning anything playing against people that just pick pauldrons, because they win situations they shouldn't win, and I can't even do anything about it because they start with exercise. This gear should be a power thing, yeah. So it becomes a tool to deal more damage, but you can still be countered by damage itself. Yeah, the damage reduction just needs to be gone, especially because the check button is an easier tool to evade damage. Like this damage reduction usually even is piss useless, and it isn't useless on characters like Kazan, which makes his only counter, that he has low stagger, gone, because he has damage reduction on goalie, yeah, which is why pauldrons is such a bullshit gear. It's so useless for anyone that is actually skilled at the game. Giving this tool on this gear on 35 power would make it be a pick where you can sacrifice utility like momentum boost and eject button and strike shot in return for more. Like, for example, I really think Juliet pauldrons goalie can be a meta pick. Yeah, it also offers a solution against a few unfair characters like Syndrome Kazan, because you can just dash punch them if they don't use their 2 dashes appropriately. Yeah, and I think options like this should be available. Yeah, right now it's like the pauldron skill is really useful to use to skillful people. So it should be made into a risk and a reward gear. Yeah, easier to damage enemies, but you can also be targeted if you deal too much damage. Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's pretty much it about gears. Yeah. So promise about Awakenings is it offers right now too much before this pitch, even too much size in damage awakenings. Core control hardly benefit from these damage awakenings. Like for example, Shuru, she doesn't get much from Dead Eye or specialized training, and because of how many damage and size awakenings that we have. Like if she counter picks these awakenings, the enemy is still gonna get something like heavy impact, or specialized training. Yeah, and she doesn't like even benefit from heavy impact. Um, it's confusing because Juno's primary description says on impact the ability will do this and this, and her ability doesn't even have an impact tag. Like what the fuck? So characters like Rasmus and Kazan, because they have a lot of tags, a lot of different abilities, they have more things open. So core control characters not only don't really benefit from these damage characters, the ones you're supposed to counter have other things open, like size, yeah. So because it has size and damage awakenings, a lot of them at the same time, it can feel very bad playing against any brawler, yeah. Like you win a set and they get better awakenings than you do, and then you lose the game. Like I'm losing to dog shit players more and more often, yeah. It's so frustrating. Team player needs to be gone. Yeah, it denies red core mechanisms that I practiced and other people can practice too. And people that are really dog shit at this game get this red core mechanism for free now. Yeah, it completely decreases the skill expression at Pro League. Yeah, it is. So, like, I'm playing against a challenger, but he's giving a lot of impact to his team because he has team player in overtime, and I can't even do anything because maybe I need to deny size or damage from the enemy forwards, yeah. But now this useless goal becomes useful because he has team player. Same thing for Among Titans. This is essentially also how Among Titans work. A lot of times you start to lose games. Like I deny size 2 times from Kazan, but now the useless forward picks Among Titans, and Kazan has this extra size, 15% size that he gets, and this dog shit forward that can't even like really position themselves now can't position themselves because they get the speed for free. Yeah, it's a very awkward awakening. One thing to make it less problematic is, as long as you don't pick an extra size, so you are below 100% size, is that you should get more damage dealt at you, because the decrease of size already makes it easier to dodge abilities. Yeah. Why does this ability have so much usefulness to it? Like, let's say you picked Among Titans, right? And before the size was nerfed below 30%, you could pick after Among Titans you could pick a size awakening, and if you divide the awakenings by 2, you would still have 6% speed. Yeah, like this is what it used to be worth more than 2 awakenings, especially because, like, if you pick a size awakening after this, you still have the speed, and your teammates still have 15% size. So like this item is so useful for dog shit players. This ruins skill expression. I'm losing games because useless people can pick Among Titans and call it a day. Okay, so we're getting to my most favorite character, yeah, Juno. Juno is one of the most hardest character to play, actually, even though people say she's easy, but people only say she's easy because at certain elos people don't really understand how the logic works. Yeah, I've written down how it works. Basically, it passes to the most, like, follow my cursor. Yeah, 1 slime, 2 slime, 3 slime, 4 slime. Now think 1 slime, 2 slime, 3 slime, 4 slime, and now it doesn't pass there, it passes in this pattern. Yeah, so it's very easy to counter if she doesn't use any kind of manual strike, which is not gonna happen in low elo. People just let the slime strike for themselves. It's very easy to counter, and these people that don't understand it makes Juno win rate go up, despite she being in a very awkward place, because most things she can do, other characters can do better. Yeah, the primary has a lower range. It takes longer to set up, and it's not our way. Rune has a higher range, the primary. It can be set up instantly, and it even has an impact tag. Yeah, so it has a lot of ways. High knockback, high damage. Rune's ability has so much. Primary has so much more to offer than Juno. So why is her primary being nerfed? It makes no sense. If anything, she actually needs a desperate buff, something like 2 charges on her primary, and then I don't know, 8 seconds cooldown, I guess. Here's the thing: Drekar has 2 charges, so picking prime time now is kind of useless because it recharges too late. Yeah, you don't need three projectiles. Juno, on the other hand, if she picks 2 prime time and 3, it can still make sense if you want to have this core control thing. You set up 3 abilities, yeah. It gives her like 2 charges, of course, and then 3 charges with prime time, yeah. Actually returns her to a place where she is truly a core control character. This hotshot bullshit, yeah. This character has so much more to offer than just being a high knockback machine because of hotshot. Just remove hotshot and give Juno a place to stay in this game because she's so hard countered by characters like Kai, Kazan, Centaur, Hasbos, which are just that much better than Juno can ever be because of how more things these characters can offer in their abilities, yeah. And then they are even getting buffed, yeah. Meanwhile, Juno doesn't receive any buff and sometimes even nerfs. And for example, Centaur has a much better dash, or Kazan has 2 dashes and are much more controlled, yeah. While Juno gets a secondary nerf, it makes no sense. And then the slime she leaves behind is skill expansion. Yeah, Eva, she can make use of it, but it can also be used as a counter to score on Juno. Yeah, there's so much. Juno's like one of the most fairest characters besides the dash invisibility, but then you need, if you hate Juno's secondary evasion effect, you need to also talk about these characters because they usually have these things in the dashes too, except they're much more useful. Yeah, her ultimate. Her ultimate is being in a very awkward space because Amy, Vice, and Phineas are just better things. They offer more, they are longer, they can't be really countered, especially if Finny gets Monumentalist, yeah. You need to put in much more resources. On Juno, you can technically even step on the ultimates, yeah. She's so counterable, yet people call her so strong. No, she's one of the weakest right now, especially because of all these damage awakenings. Yeah, I've written down why she's so cool, to use, technically, but because of all these balancing changes, I'm not really picking her anymore. Which Wise, Amy, and Finny are just a better choice. Yeah, yeah, that's pretty much about Juno. Yeah, just putting out a word for Juno because I think she deserves better. So we come to the heart of the balancing issues, yeah. Unreliable win rate data because the devs refused to do something against UQ farming in the top 10 that NA does. Fuck these players, by the way. And the smurfing. There's so much smurfing that the devs don't do anything about. I pushed for a smurfing change in Season 2 or Season 3. The devs then said before a season ended, like 7 days before that, we're gonna do something about it, or we're gonna think about a mechanism against it, and then nothing happened. Fall flat, unfortunately. Unreliable win rate data because of inflation. Yeah, this like the devs or the community manager now looks at data and he can't do anything. He doesn't know what this data means right now, because the people goes higher and higher even if they don't improve, because there's more and more elo in the pool because of the soft reset mechanism. He thinks he looks at good players like Pro League, yeah, and then if you look at inflation adjusted scale level, suddenly you're only looking at a low challenger, which truly doesn't really know the deep aspects of the games. I've written it down more easily, like what gameplay mechanisms these people miss luck, yeah. And if you must lack these basic strategies like shooting behind you, some characters are very hard to balance, yeah, because part of the counters of these characters is to shoot behind you, yeah, to shoot around these abilities. So you can't, like, some characters are going to get a higher win rate because certain things don't happen. Like people don't step into Juno Slimes, they don't know where Juno Slimes are going to pass, but this doesn't mean that this character is in a good spot. Same thing for how certain characters get a lower win rate, because for example, dogshit players are going to pick Kazan, but if a good player would play Kazan, he's gonna sit at something like a, I don't know, 60% win rate, 59 or so, because he's this much stronger, yeah? But because only dogshit players more likely play him, they go from like low diamond to mid challenger, and now they are getting beaten in basic gameplay, even despite all these massive resource advantages. And then on paper, this character looks like he's losing, even though this character is winning. Yeah. So unreliable win rate data, completely unreliable. You can throw it out. The devs can no longer rely on the win rate data at all. There was a feedback channel, or maybe there is, and diamonds and challengers need to be thrown out of it. Nowadays, like season 3 challengers, even if they didn't improve, are in NA in Pro League. Yeah. So, and here's the issue. Even at that time, low diamond and challenger was like maybe barely medium. They shouldn't have access to feedback. Like the deeper feedback forums. There was a general feedback forum, like where you could upvote and downvote things, and then there was like a high elo feedback place where you can put down comments and see the next balancing changes and put your vows behind it. And I feel like these people can never do fair suggestions. Yeah, I didn't write this down, but I actually suggested this these Clarion Corps maps. There's one map part that has these damage zones, and like this basic layout without the damage zone. Yeah, I actually suggested this in beta, yeah, and I was like a challenger player, I guess, in beta, yeah, even if I hit Omega Elo. But I didn't know at that part that these healing points are unfair, because it's a 50-50 chance whoever gets them. You can't like counter it by like it's too far away to take it as an enemy if it spawns on the other side. Yeah, just to show that you can mean it well with feedback, but still give bad feedback. Yeah, how to reduce this issue, this unreliable win rate data issue. Yeah, you need to get reliable advisors. Yeah, I'm thinking of people that don't play gimmick picks, like that don't rely on characters to get to a certain elo, but they have a fundamental skill level, a high enough skill level. I'm thinking of players like Alex and Fang. Because I know they have a high skill level. They could technically pick up any character and do well with them. Meanwhile, we have a lot of new Pro League players that pick something like Kai Goli, and the only reason they do good because this character forces them to move past that gold zone to attack the enemy with 6 projectiles. But you can do this on any other character, kind of, yeah. But these people never learned it. They only see, yeah, I have to play kind like this and this. They don't learn the deep mechanisms, and so they look really lost, especially in tournaments where they play against actual pro leagues. Yeah, like some people do not rely on these gimmick picks. They pick characters because part of these characters offer a synergy with their strength. Yeah, like Alex can pull off abilities very fast, so he doesn't get much from something like Atlas, for example. He can do fast pinpoint abilities, so something like Wise and Amy that can release pinpoint abilities very fast is a strength. He doesn't pick really Amy because of the ultimate. He doesn't pick Wise because of the stun and the ultimate. It's just a nice thing to have, yeah. But these characters just have a fast output, yeah, and that's why Alex is maybe not even on purpose, but that's why he's playing it, because it gives in to his strengths. But man, I have so much to tell about Kazan and Citaro players, but I want to keep it very, very low key. Yeah? But essentially, it's so frustrating to play with or against Kazan players. Yeah, the characters get banned, and now they're out of the Elo, and you have dog shit matches. Even though the game thinks this is one of the most balanced games, but it isn't, because the inflated noob can't play his OP character anymore. Okay, so yeah, I don't want to talk too much about this. Side note, if you do banning changes, please look into past patch notes and look why a certain awakening was buffed or nerfed. Yeah, so Hotshot and Juno as a package was already nerfed at least 2 or 3 times. Yeah, Hotshot got nerfed so much that at some point it even got rebuffed by 1 point upwards. So the fact that in this patch it got dropped by 2% is ridiculous. And then even the cooldown nerf, yeah, ridiculous. The dogmouth balancing. We get to the key heart of the dogmouth balancing from the OD devs, which they don't work for Omega Strikers anymore. Yeah, they work on some CD prototype, which is not gonna work out. They need to focus on the Centauri game, but that's another issue. This game is a Centauri game. People could play this game for more than 10 years. Okay, decade Centauri. Yeah. Funny. Okay. In reality, if you balance this game partially for dogship players, you throw them so many bones that they stay at the spot where they are because you give them the opportunity to win without improving at the game. In reality, you should really only focus on high elo changes, yeah, because for example, Kazan is very unfair, just delete him, yeah, thanks. Because eventually players will get to a higher elo if they continue to play a game. If you don't throw them bones at them, yeah, especially players that don't play Kazan and Centaur. And then there's one issue. Aten and Inky cannot create the same dynamics. It can, especially Aten City. I know advanced corner setups and red core setups, and it removes me any kind of skill expression. The people just spam skills, and me in the barrier is gonna break. I don't want to get a free 10 TLP loss because I'm getting Aten, yeah. Like I can copy them to some point, but it becomes frustrating because at some point it's bad habits you need to copy from the enemies to win against them, and it becomes impossible because you're used to good habits. Just don't. My suggestion is don't make Atom City and Inky ever be in solo queue map pool. Yeah, and alternatively, one map can stay, but then you need to be allowed to ban one map. So I don't know, bad players can, I don't know, ban Demon Dice for themselves, and I can ban Art City. Okay, thanks. Also please remove Kazan, yeah? Thank you.